Hey everybody, Twin Dad here, and welcome back to Magium. This is the second chapter, and I reached the checkpoint, and we ended off on the first one. And so far, we didn't die, which is surprising because I usually die at every game I ever play. But anyway, let's jump right in and see how this turns out. At the very last chapter, we heard a noise in the bushes or trees or something like that, and we'll find out what's going to happen now. And thanks for watching. Both me and Darren turned around at the same time. We see a slim, tall figure standing behind us, with long black hair, fair skin, and a very serious look on her face. She is wearing leather pants, a long-sleeved white blouse, and a green hooded cloak. She appears to be somewhere in her early 20s. But that's not all there is to this woman. I can also sense a strong magical aura all around her, an aura that couldn't possibly be coming from a regular human. Could she be a banshee? My heart starts beating rapidly again, the night from 15 years ago coming back to me. I can see it vividly. I can still hear the laughter, that sinister, high-pitched laughter. Will it never stop haunting me? I breathe in deeply and try to calm down. This woman can't be a banshee. The feeling I'm getting now is too different from the one I got back then. Does that mean she's a mage? No, that would be impossible. And yet... Barry, whispers Darren, don't be afraid. I know white magic. I can purify her. I realized Darren must also have sensed the magic come from this woman and concluding that she must be possessed by a banshee. Banshees are parasitic spirits that need to inhabit bodies in order to survive. They usually spend a few weeks inside a body in a dormant state before taking over. During this phase, the host may develop magical powers. Once a banshee is in full control of the body, they say she has awakened. The only way you can save the original host once she's been possessed by a banshee is to use white magic to purify her before the banshee has fully awakened, which basically means killing the banshee without harming the host. However, the purification technique operates on the assumption that a woman cannot have magical powers of her own. They call it purification, but all the technique does in fact is to completely eradicate the aura that gives off a strong magical vibe, with the purpose of also eliminating the banshee along with it. On the other hand, if the aura does not in fact belong to a banshee, but to the woman herself, the purification would be nothing short of a death sentence. No, wait, listen to me, I blurt out. The woman isn't a banshee. So what? You're suggesting she's a mage then? Barry, women can't be mages. There hasn't been a single recorded case of a woman mage in all of our world's history. Every time a woman's developed magical powers, it's because of a banshee. Every single time. Don't you think I know that? But this one is different. If you try to purify her, you may well end up killing her. How can you be so sure? Because I've met a banshee before, up close. Have you met a banshee before, Darren? No, he admits. You just said you trust me enough to tell me your greatest weakness. I'm asking you to trust me on this one too. Can you trust me on this, Darren? Darren gives me a deep, one long look, and then he sighs deeply. All right, we'll do it your way, but I'm keeping an eye on her. I swear, Barry, if it turns out you're the only one saying this because of her looks, I'm going to. Would you guys mind telling me what you've been whispering for this past minute, the woman asks. Her looks, deciding which one should make a pass at her, just finishing our discussion from earlier, discussing whether she is a banshee or not. Well, there's no sense lying to her. Could be discussing her looks, because apparently she is good looking. Deciding which one should make a pass. Discussing whether she's a banshee or not. That'd be appropriate. We were discussing whether or not you're a banshee. Oh, she says. She appears to be shaken by my comment. Well, I'm sorry to have bothered you then. She continues, I'll be on my way. As she turns to leave, Darren calls out after her. Wait, you didn't let him finish. We've already concluded that you're not a banshee. You can stay. She turns back towards us slowly. I can? She is trying to keep her expression as blank as possible, but there is a slight trembling in her tone as she asks her question, and her eyes are a bit watery. It appears she's been holding back tears. Of course you can, Darren answers. Now, what was that you asked me in the beginning? The woman's expression is slowly returning to normal, as she asks her initial question again. I was asking if you were Darren, the healer in armor. I am indeed, answers Darren. What business would you have with me? Continue. This is pretty good. I have very good imagination. I think I do anyway, so I can actually almost picture myself being there. It's quite nice. I require an escort. I am not certain I can survive in this tournament by myself, and I've heard of all your deeds and valor and all your legends. So I thought that maybe, say no more, I will grant you my protection for the duration of the quest. From what you say, I would surmise that you are not actually trying to win this tournament. No, I'm not. I am looking for a friend, and I have reason to believe she's somewhere on this continent, but I don't have any specific leads just yet. For now, I just need to stay alive. Then you can join us. We are just about to get out of here. We are way too out in the open right now. Us? You're planning traveling alongside the Stillwater? You can't trust him. Actually, he's not a Stillwater. He's just a normal human, Darren corrects her. Great. I'm wondering if he plans to blow my cover to every single person we meet from now on. Is that what he told you? The woman asked. And you believed him? He's just trying to get you to lower your guard. Ask what she has against me. Ask why the two of us should trust her. Ask why she's so quick to trust Darren and not me. Why she's so quick to trust Darren and not me. That'd be appropriate. Why me, I ask her. Why can you trust Darren so easily but not me? Because his reputation precedes him. Few are those that haven't heard of his bravery and his outstanding morality. You, on the other hand, come from a race filled with mass murderers. Whoa, let's calm down, says Darren. He turns to the woman. Listen, I understand your concern, but this man saved my life and I intend to repay his debt to him. I intend to repay my debt to him. If you're looking for an escort, then it's going to be the three of us traveling together. I'm not accepting any alternatives. The woman pauses to consider Darren's words. Very well, she says. If that's the way it has to be, then I am forced to comply, but know that I will be constantly watching my back. I am not that easily convinced. I am not as easily convinced as you, Healer and Armor. Great, Darren says. Now that we've got that settled, let's be off. Adventure awaits. Wait, I call out. You still didn't tell us your name. The woman turns towards me and gives me a pondering look. After careful consideration, she decides to answer. It's Kate. My name is Kate. With those last words, the three of us leave the clearing and head to the forest, in the hopes of finding some place away from the ongoing battles that are being waged across the land. As we march through the forest, I hear a few loud beats come from my right pocket. Barry, what's that sound? Darren asks. I know that sound. Don't tell me you brought a fortune teller's trinket with you all the way here. Are you planning to tell us your fortunes, Barry? A fortune teller's trinket? That's what most people call this device nowadays. But very few people know what they really do, and how they actually work. My research has led me to believe that these devices harness their energy from all the magic around them. The more energy that they harness, the more effective they become. Since mages are usually spread far apart from one another and they don't really have any reason to cast powerful spells one after another, the effects of such a device is mostly negligible. But imagine the amount of energy it could all gather in a place filled with the most powerful mages in the world who are constantly fighting each other. I pull the device out of my pocket. It looks much like a toy, with a few buttons and a screen. As I press the buttons, different letters magically appear on the screen, forming words and showing me numbers. The device calls for my stats. My stats consist mostly of various physical attributes, such as strength, speed, reflexes, toughness, observation, and hearing, but there are also others like combat technique, ancient languages, and premonition. When the device harnesses enough energy, it announces me by beeping, and it then allows me to invest a limited number of points in my stats. At the moment, all my stats are at 0, which means the device's energy was completely depleted when I brought it here. I guess I'll have to start leveling them from scratch. Investing my points in stats is supposed to actually enhance my real attributes, so long as I keep the device close enough to me that it comes in contact with my magical aura. As I spend my time here, I'm expecting to hear these beeps more and more often. I'll have to think twice about the way I spend my points though, since I have no way of knowing when I'll get my next batch of points, and no way to change my mind after I've invested them. The maximum values that appear now for each stat are likely to increase as time passes. The device is mostly used by fortune tellers because of the premonition stat. It provides them with some very vague glimpses into the future that they are then free to interpret to their own liking. I wonder if the ancient languages stat actually means that I'll be able to understand and speak ancient tongues. I heard there are much such writings on this continent, and I heard some people here don't speak the common tongue. That guy must read a lot in order to figure all that out, and even before he's actually got a chance to use it. But, we'll find out. Yeah! Now, I can invest the points now, or I can invest the points later by pressing the stats button on the top of the screen. Let's invest them now. What do you mean? What? Alright. This is the first time you're entering the stats screen. Here's a short introduction. This is where you can spend your available points by pressing on any of the stats from the stats screen. Upon each press, you will then spend one available point in order to gain one level from the stat. Obviously. Your number of available points is shown at the top of the stats screen. You can cancel or confirm your changes by using the buttons at the top of the screen. Every once in a while, the game will check to see if your stats are high enough to perform a certain action in the scene. If your stat level is not high enough, you will fail your check, which will be announced by a red message on the top of your screen. A successful stat check will be shown in green. Here are two examples. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Alright, yeah, okay, that makes sense, yeah. Alright, continue to stats screen. Thank you. Now, how many do I got? 3. Strength, speed, reflexes, toughness, hearing, observation, ancient languages, combat technique, premonition. I don't know. Premonition would be pretty good. Let's go with... I'm gonna go with observation first. Let's see stuff that's coming on first. Yeah, let's do that. Confirm changes. And I'll probably pick like premonition after or something. Just I want to be able to see stuff that's coming. Because I'm just a regular human anyway. So me going super strong against mages isn't going to do a hill of crap anyway. Alright. As we march through the forest, I hear a few loud beeps coming from my right pocket. Okay, that's just repeating itself, blah, blah, blah. Good enough. Barry, don't you think there are more important things to do right now than playing around with that toy? Darren asked me. This isn't a toy, I answer him as I put the device back in my pocket. And I think you should pay more attention to where you're going instead of lecturing me, because I see we just ran a forest. Quiet, the two of you. We've got company, Kate says. She's right. Looking all around us, I see there are fallen trees everywhere in this area, and there are quite a few dead bodies laying around. It seems there have been a battle here, or maybe several. The victors were in the middle of looting the bodies when they noticed us. There's 3 of them in total. One of them is considerably well built for a mage. He has a very long black beard covering his face. He seems to be in his mid-40s. He's wearing heavy armor and is holding a large battle axe. The other 2 are a bit skinnier and younger, and are wearing chainmail vests instead, but they're holding no weapons. The bearded mage with the battle axe shouts to Darren. Quit the team you've assembled here, healer in armor. A healer, a banshee, and an ordinary human. It's like you're dying to lose this tournament. Kate was visibly affected by the banshee comment. Her eyes twitched, and her look went from subconsciously toward the ground. Mind your tongue, fool, I replied to him. Who are you calling an ordinary human? Have you never heard of Stillwaters? Ha! Stillwaters are legends and nothing more. I don't know what you are trying to achieve by joining this tournament, boy, but soon it won't matter anymore. Why, Darren asked the bearded mage. Why have you done this? He gestures toward the lifeless bodies laying all around us. Nobody told us we should start killing each other, Darren continues. They told us there were no rules until they give us the first objectives. We don't even know if we're going to be combat involved. Why did you have to kill all these people? Because there are no rules, answers the mage with the battle axe. No rules means we can do whatever we want, and what we want is to eliminate as much of the competition as possible before the main event starts. He grins. My sons and I were a little worried at first. We were afraid we might not be able to be ready for the big leagues, but here we are. The bearded mage exclaims as he raises his hands and takes a victorious stance. But enough talk. We all know what's coming. Barry, get behind me, Darren shouts as he rushes in front of me. First rule of combat, says the bearded mage. Suddenly, one of the 2 younger mages that were standing next to the mage with the battle axe vanishes and appears right behind me with a dagger in his hand. Always kill the weakest enemies first, the bearded mage continues. We'll find out. The young mage slashes his dagger towards my neck, but Darren reacts just in time and uses his shield to take the blow. Ha! You left the woman undefended. Classic mistake, says the mage with the battle axe, as his second son makes a dozen swords appear out of thin air, floating in front of him and sends them flying towards Kate. Just as the swords reach her, Kate's left arm gets covered in a large, thick block of ice, sculpted in the form of a shield. She puts it in front of her, and all the swords get stuck to it. Left the woman undefended? Kate asks. So which is it then? Woman or banshee? She lowers her left arm to reveal a face and she looks straight at the mage with the black beard. Her eyes are brimming with fury. Make up your mind, she shouts, as the whole forest falls silent from the sound of her voice. Nice. The mage with the battle axe seems to have temporarily lost his cool and is looking a bit terrified. And he should be. Kate's killing intent is so strong that it almost seems palatable. I see backstabbers and sword throwers, she shouts, and you call yourself mages? Come, I'll show you real magic. As she talks, the air around us seems to be getting colder. So this is what it feels like to be in a tournament alongside the most powerful mages in the world. The bearded mage seemed to have snapped out of it. Your parlor tricks won't save you a second time, wench. I don't care if you're a banshee or not. None of you are going to leave this place alive. He shouts as he rushes towards Darren with his battle axe ready to strike. As he approaches, I realize that if I don't do something quick, Darren will be forced to fight both the older and the younger mage all by himself, while also defending me. And he won't have the luxury of using his healing spells, since they require him to be calm and relaxed in order to cast them. Maybe there is something I can do to help. Hide behind Darren and be a coward. Draw the younger mage away from Darren and focus on avoiding his attacks. Oh, la 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 la. What did I pick? I picked observation, I think. So draw the younger mage. Fight the younger mage. I'm gonna draw him away because there's no way Darren can fight two of them while defending me. Since the younger mage seems to be focused on me, I'll lure him away from Darren and try to evade his attacks for as long as I can, until Darren finishes off the older mage. Kate seems to be got the sword from the throwing mage's undivided. Kate seems to have gotten the sword throwing mage's undivided attention. He is constantly sending swords her way from every direction. As she creates walls of ice to block his attacks, we're lucky. With Darren's weakness against weapons and my lack of magical talents, the mage would probably have been the hardest for us to fight. As the bearded mage reaches us, the battle axe clashes loudly with Darren's sword. I see you've enchanted your weapon well, healer, says the older mage. But how long can you last against a battle-hardened warrior such as myself? He roars and presses his battle axe harder against Darren's sword. As the two of them fight, I dash towards the forest. As expected, the mage with the dagger comes running in after me. Barry, wait, Darren shouts after me. He attempts to follow but decides against it. He can't afford to avert his eyes from the bearded mage even for a second. He is too dangerous. In the meantime, the mage fighting Kate has managed to surround her with floating swords, aimed at her from every direction. He sends them all at her simultaneously in an attempt to overwhelm her defenses. She quickly surrounds herself with a sphere in very thick ice, and all the swords once again stop into it. As she dismisses the sphere, all the hundreds of swords drop to the ground with a deafening clang. Speed check failed. Reflexes check failed. Toughness check failed. This is not going to end well at all. My plan to lure the younger mage away isn't working as well as I would have hoped. I thought I could at least get him busy long enough for Darren to finish the battle, but he constantly takes me by surprise with his teleportation magic. And with every slash, he gets closer to hitting me. Maybe I should go back to Darren where is fighting before I get myself killed. Barry, behind you, Darren shouts, but it's too late. The knife reaches my neck before I get a chance to dodge. His dagger slits my throat right open, and I desperately try to stop the flow of blood by covering the open wound with my hands, but it's no use. Barry! I hear Darren scream in the distance. The last thing I see is the mage's dagger descending towards me as he lands his finishing blow. As the two of them fight, I dash away towards the forest. As expected, the mage with the dagger is coming right after me. What? Oh, what? What? Okay. Well, apparently I bit the dust. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll have to start over. Anyway, I guess I'll put one in speed and reflexes. Or, yeah, speed and reflexes, I'll put it in that. I guess I just want to actually survive. I don't have enough for all three, so I'll do those two. And then it might give me a better chance. Anyway, I will be right back. Hello again, and now I am back to the choices, and I will say that I'm going to draw the younger mage away from Darren again, and let's see what happens. So, there's no way I can fight him, blah 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 blah, continue. Speed check successful 1. Alright, my plan to lure the younger mage away is working far better than I expected. The mage keeps teleporting after me and trying to catch me off guard, but every time he thinks he's got me in a pinch, I simply dash away with ease. I knew that the stat device would come in handy, but I never dared to dream it would be so useful. I feel like I could just I feel like I could just keep running like this for hours and never get tired. Boy, what do you think you're doing? Stop fooling around and finish him. He's just an ordinary human, shouts the mage with the battle axe. Kate seems to have gone on the offensive. She's throwing ice cones toward the younger mage, and he is now forced to use his sword to cut them down instead of attacking her. As he focuses more on defense, Kate's attacks become more and more relentless. It doesn't take her long until she starts sending hundreds of ice daggers towards her enemy. The mage doesn't seem to know how to use his technique to defend from such a large number of simultaneous attacks. It only takes a small miscalculation on his part to end the battle abruptly, as one of the ice daggers stabs him right through the heart, killing him on the spot. "No!" shouts the older mage when he sees what happened to his eldest son. Taking his eyes off his opponent was a fatal mistake. Darren didn't waste his chance, and drove his blade through the man's chest, his enchanted weapon cutting through the mage's heavy armor like a knife through butter. The bearded mage gave it one last gurgle before he drowned in his own blood. Terrified, the younger mage with the dagger tries to teleport into the forest to get away, but his spell range appears to be limited, and it only transports him halfway there. He tries to make a run for it, but Kate snipes him in the back from the distance with an ice cone through his head. Ooh, which kills him instantly. It was a gruesome show, but at this point, all I care is that somehow I managed to make it out alive. Wow, that was pretty intense. I like that. As he is healing his wounds, Darren looks straight at me. "Barry, that was too close. We're going to have to think of some strategy until our next fight, or we're not going to last much longer." "Yes," I tell him. "I think you might be right." After finishing his healing spell, he walks over to Kate. "Kate, please explain something to me, because I just don't get it. With the way you were fighting back there, why would you ever ask for an escort? Everyone has their weaknesses, healer. Judging by how much you've been struggling this fight, I would assume that, ironically, you are the weakest against other weapon enchanters such as yourself. But just because I handled these thugs with ease, it doesn't mean I won't have any problems against other foes. No one can survive this tournament alone." "Yes, I suppose you're right." Darren pauses. "Very well. Let's keep going," he says, as we heads towards the forest. I start to follow him, but Kate stops me in my tracks. She has that very serious look in her eyes again. "Stillwater," she says in a low voice, in order to avoid being heard by Darren. "I saw you fighting back there. You may have managed to convince Darren and that bearded fool that you were an ordinary human, but I am not so easily deceived. I don't know what your game is, but I'm going to keep my eye on you." "I'm not," I start to say, but Kate cuts me off and grabs me by the shirt. "Listen to me, Stillwater. I'm not interested in hearing your lies. I just wanted to make sure you were clear on what I think your little charade. Now, are you clear?" Crystal. "I'm going to be sarcastic. That should be fun." "No, not really. Could you elaborate some more?" I ask her. Kate frowns at me. "Joke all you want, Stillwater, but I've got my eye on you." She releases my shirt and goes to catch up with Darren, not saying another word. Ancient languages check failed too. Oh well, I mean, you can't have all the points because you just can't. That's just too bad. As we approach the forest, I see a female deer and her fawn appear from behind the trees. They make some noise when they see us, and then they hurry back into the woods. We decide to follow the path that leads into the mountains, in the hopes of finding a cave to provide us some shelter for the night. Oh, well, that ended off like that. Anyway, yeah, that's getting pretty good. You have 3 people in the group so far. I wonder how many there's going to be, or if there's going to be any more, or whatever is going to happen. But we will find out in the next video. Thanks for watching, and I hope you're enjoying this. I'm not the best or most articulate reader, but oh well. I enjoy it, and I hope you do too. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.